We are live here at London Real Studios. I am Brian Rose, and this is a new format where every week we're going to be broadcasting and answering your questions live on Facebook and on YouTube. Next week, I've got the two gentlemen from the Happy Pair coming in from Ireland. We're going to talk about the incredible business that they've built. I love what they're doing for veganism, plant-based ideas, and they got tons of great energy. So they'll be here next week. And today, I want to talk about something that's kind of crazy now that I think about it. We will be celebrating next month 7 years of London Real. 7th anniversary. I've been doing this crazy thing called London Real, and I wanted to use this to give you a little perspective on what I've learned over the years, and maybe you can apply it to your life. So today, I really want to talk about pulling the trigger and starting something that you might be scared of, what it's like going into the fear, how you find a mentor, how you build a business, and then how you be a leader, or how you become a leader. And I want to answer all those questions today because I think it might apply in your everyday life. And again, we are live here on Facebook, so if you go to LondonReal.tv, you should see links in there. And on Facebook, it's on the London Real page, also on YouTube. So I'll be taking live questions. Also, a bunch of people submitted questions yesterday on YouTube for me about mentorship, about training, diet, and of course, our recent movie, Iron Mind, which I really want to talk about as well. And again, thank you so much for being here, and I'm going to be checking in with you for questions. We had the world premiere of our 4th documentary feature film called Iron Mind on Friday here in London. We were at the luxurious Ham Yard Hotel, and I don't know what it is about me, folks. Maybe, I'm a kid from California, and I grew up not far from Hollywood, but I always love the fact of having a red carpet premiere, with flashbulbs and celebrities. And so that's what we do when we release one of our feature films. The first one we did at BAFTA here in London with Dorian Yates. Next, we went to the Ham Yard Hotel, actually, with Ido Portal. He flew his whole family in from Israel. We had an amazing night. And then in November of last year, we went to the Curzon Theater in Mayfair. I mean, a theater super famous. They used to watch war footage there. Winston Churchill would show up and do war footage there. It's called the Curzon. It was 350 people. And Dan Pena was there for the premiere of The $50 Billion Man. And of course, on Friday, it was Iron Mind, an incredible, incredible evening. And I'm really proud of this film. It came together, people laughed, people were crying. It really emotionally affected people. And it's really an incredible film. It's very different than what you might have seen on the weekly series that we showed. Of course, Dan Pena, the $50 Billion Man, was in the house. He got up afterwards in a Q&A and stood up and literally did a 360 and started telling people what he thought. So it was great to have him there. And one of my students named Nick Anikas actually brought a present for me. And this is crazy. He's actually a graduate of one of my Business Accelerator programs from a year ago. It's a program where in 8 weeks we teach people how to start from pretty much nothing, a passion, and turn it into a revenue generating business. It's our most popular program inside the Academy. And I taught him how to turn his knowledge of being an artist into a business. And he was so moved by London Real and by the messages that we've put out and by the training he got from me and the mentorship that he spent 6 months creating an oil painting of me. And I remember when he first asked me, I was like, whoa, Nick, I don't know, the only people I know that have oil paintings made of them are, egotistical billionaires with their own castles in Scotland. And no slight to Dan Pena, but he's the only guy I've ever known that has his own oil painting. But Nick was really persistent and really passionate. He said, Brian, this is an important piece because it shows the vision of London Real. It's not about you, it's about all of us getting to the next level, about looking out and seeing, can we be the best we can be? Can we push ourselves? Can we give back to others? Can we pay it forward? And so I said, okay, buddy. And he started sending me a few pictures here and there, and I was like, wow. And he said, Brian, this is gonna be a museum quality piece. And I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. And so he flew to London, and on stage before the premiere, we literally unveiled it like something out of a movie, right? We literally pulled down this veil and everyone saw it, and Nick spoke to the audience, and all of this is going to be shown on our Q&A London Real premiere episode, which is going to come in about 2 weeks, and it'll have that whole art presentation. It'll show you scenes of everybody at the party and the premiere, little bits of the movie, and the Q&A I had afterwards with Timothy Sheaf, who is the vegan prince, the Ninja Warrior champion, and it was just an incredible night. And as I always tell people, London Real premieres are once in a lifetime experiences. Like you have to be there because you'll be telling your grandkids that one day I hung out with Ido Portal for his premiere, or I saw Dan Pena blast everybody in his Q&A, or I met Dorian Yates at BAFTA. This was one of those nights, and it was absolutely amazing. So we'll have that video out for you in a couple weeks. And the painting is here at London Real World headquarters. So if you come in, it's in my office. And I won't lie to you, it's very weird walking into a headquarters and then your office where there's a massive oil painting of you, you know? And it's like, it's on one hand, it's very intimidating. On the one hand, it's very inspiring because it forces me to live up to a greater version of myself. And so I want to thank Nick Anakis for all of the hard work. And it's absolutely incredible. And if you ever come here for a graduation ceremony, all of our Academy students come here for graduation. I'm currently running our public speaking course called Speak to Inspire. They'll be here in December. Our Broadcast Yourself course is coming up. They'll be here in December, in addition to our Business Accelerator. And so you will all see that painting, and it's absolutely amazing. I think I got a picture of it here. And I don't know, Lewis, if you can get this on screen, but let's try to see if I can get a close-up here, and you can see if I can get this picture on here, but you probably can't, but let me see if I can just show you what it looks like. I don't know if you can get this on close-up here, but this is kind of what that looks like. I know it's hard to see, but you know, that's what that looks like. I don't know if you can see it, but there you go. So that is the oil painting. And, you know, there you go, folks. You can see it. I'll be publishing this. I'll be putting this on my Instagram. But it was really an epic night, and I just wanted to thank everybody involved. And it's something we're super proud of. We're going to be putting this movie out soon. We don't know if it's going to go to film festivals or how we're going to release it, but sooner or later, it will be on londonreal.tv, which is where we have all of our free content, all of our long-form interviews. You just sign in with your social and you can watch it all for free. You can see all of our movies there. You can see the full episode of Jordan Peterson. You can see the full episode of Ido Portal, Dorian Yates, everything. So that's where all that happens. So look, let's jump in here, folks. First, I want to check the stream on Facebook and find out if there's any questions coming in. And again, just go there if you want to watch this live or put anything in there. Oh, wow, there I am. That's always cool to see me. And so, yeah, if you got any questions there, it would be great. But, you know, I really want to talk about a few things tonight that hopefully can help you because that's weird watching yourself live here on Facebook. Because it's kind of strange that I'm here at this 7-year anniversary point. And I still remember being a banker. And I actually used to work in one of these buildings that you see behind me. And I used to go into work every day. I would wear a suit. And I would get in there and I would have 2 phones. And in banking, there are these black phones and they have these cords and they have these little clickers on the phone. And when you click them, it mutes you so whoever you're talking to can't hear what you're saying. And oftentimes I could work 2 phones while listening to my colleagues around the room and transact at the same time. So I'd be on the phone with JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs and I'd be like talking to JP Morgan and then clicking out and talking to the other guy and clicking them both out so they couldn't hear what I was saying to my colleague. And I would be buying and selling credit derivative trades that were off-balance sheet transactions that would happen through our company. And it was a crazy day. I worked with about 30 guys. We each had literally less than this desk space. There would probably be 3 of us in a desk this size. I could smell them all day. I could see what they ate. I could listen to conversations with their girlfriends or their wives or who knows what else. It was really a bunch of savages to a certain extent. You know, it was a den of thieves and it was a rough environment and it was the place to go where you wanted to make a lot of money, but not if you wanted to grow as a human being, connect with other humans, add back to the world. And to be honest, it was slowly killing me. And I remember seeing my bank balance go up and up and up because I was at a company called ICAP PLC, and every quarter we got paid, and we got a percentage of the revenues we brought in. It was like an ATM machine. It was a great organization in that point. And the chairman is named Michael Spencer. He founded the company, and he's done an amazing job. And but at the same time, I would see my bank balance go up, and I was not any happier. And that's the first time I noticed a lack of correlation between money and happiness. It's the first time I ever noticed that. The rest of my life, I was always making more money and I could buy more stuff and I felt happy. But this was a time where I was like, wait a second, your money is going up a lot and you're still not feeling better or feeling more and more depressed and disconnected. And I was alone at the time. I had no family. I never thought I wanted a family. I had this huge 2-floor duplex massive apartment in Shoreditch that was like the coolest thing ever with like no furniture. It was like that movie Boiler Room. And I was just basically, I would drink myself, you know, to sleep every night because I was really unhappy. And that was my life. And so from the outside, it looked cool. I was going to all the cool places and driving the cool cars and having the cool vacations, but I wasn't happy. And so luckily, I took a meditation course. I was always into investing in myself from a learning perspective. And that's why anybody who joins the Academy, I think it's a no-brainer to always invest in yourself. Even if you buy a book or a program or a seminar and it has 1% of the effect, you're gonna get a little bit better. So I think whenever you spend money on your own education, it's almost always the right call. And so I invested in myself. I spent about $2,000 on a transcendental meditation class. And I took it, and I had to bring a piece of fruit and a napkin, and I had to do all these weird things. And I thought, this is weird, but I'm gonna do it because I paid the money. And so I got through it, and I got a meditation practice, and about 2 months in, I was able to view Brian Rose as an unhappy, greedy banker who was depressed and drinking himself to death. And I was like, what are you doing? This is so stupid. And it took me about 2 weeks to come to terms with it. And then I literally walked into my MD and said, I'm leaving. And he said, what competitor are you going to? You have a non-compete agreement, we're gonna sue you. I said, you can do whatever you want, because I'm not doing it. I'm not working in the banking industry anymore, I'm out. And he was like, okay. And I just walked out. I said goodbye to everybody and walked out. They thought I was out of my mind. But it was time to go. And so luckily meditation gave me that, which is why I teach that on our Life Accelerator program. Also, if I hadn't invested that money in the meditation course, I would have quit. If YouTube had been around back then in a big way and I just watched a few free videos, I would have never followed through on the program. And that's why I always tell my students, when I ask you to invest $2,000, $3,000 in one of my courses, I do it to make sure you'll finish it, yeah? I don't need your money, but I need you to invest in yourself and to do the hard things when the going gets tough. And so I've had the most success on my courses when people put money on the line, skin in the game, and then we go through this together. And that's what happens. And Nick, the guy that painted the oil painting, he got so much out of that course because he paid, I think, $5,000 for that course. People have gotten London Real tattoos on them because they paid the price and then did the hard work. So always find a way to invest in yourself. And usually when you put some money on the line, it's a way to actually become the best version of yourself. So that's why I'm here, funny enough, is because I did that. I see lots of great comments coming here on Facebook. I just want to say hi. What's up, Brian Fall? Hakan, what's going on? Ruthio is in the house. Suzette, Ido, great stuff. Look, I want to come to some of these questions. Again, put your question here in Facebook and I want to answer them at the end. But you know, folks, I walked out of that job because it was destructive and I could see it was slowly killing me, even though it was making me money and making everyone around me impressed. It wasn't making me impressed. And so there'll come a point in your life where something deep down inside will tell you, this doesn't feel right anymore and I've got to make a change and move on. And when the pain point gets too high, you'll do it. As one of my mentors, Dan Pena, says, we all make decisions for two reasons, right? Inspiration or desperation. Well, I'm here to tell you 99% of the time it's desperation. It's when you get to a pain point you can no longer handle, that's when you do something. When you look in the mirror and you're 100 pounds overweight, right? When you look at your relationships and it's just pure negativity, that's when you pull up and make a change. That's when you go to the gym. That's when you stop eating garbage. That's when you change cities and change your peer group. And so that's usually when it happens. But be ready to do that as soon as possible. And so, you know, 7 years ago, I pulled the trigger and started London Real. And again, I want to say a few things about that because you might be able to apply this in your life. You know, I walked out of banking. I didn't know what I was going to do for many months. I was following Joe Rogan and what he was doing. And Joe wasn't even on YouTube back then. Probably nobody knew about him, but I knew about him because I was a fan of the UFC. And I had watched his long form episodes on Vimeo at the time. And they were so cathartic to me. You know, I remember watching them and they just made me feel so connected to other men and for long form conversations and ideas. And it was a really powerful moment. And so I started London Real, and that was in October of 2011, coming up on our 7-year anniversary. And I pulled the trigger and I really went into a lot of fears. And I was concerned about so many things. I thought my banker buddies would make fun of me. I thought they would laugh at me. Very quickly, we ended up talking about ayahuasca and plant medicines, and I was convinced the Bank of England would never let me back into the financial district. And part of me was still thinking, you know what, maybe one day I might have to go back to get a job. But again, I just went into the fear and said, you know what, I'm just gonna go all in on this, no matter what. And that's what I did. And by doing that, every episode was growth. And The other thing is I didn't worry about the views and the likes because back then nobody watched the show. Nobody cared. Everyone said it's too long. Now they say it's too short. Everyone said, who cares what you think? No one cares about your ideas. All of this stuff, you know, and it's funny now to look back, but I was doing it because it was my passion. And I ultimately was doing it to test myself. And so that's my advice to you. If you're ever coming to a point where you're at a fear juncture or you need to pull the trigger, just say, like, what do you really want to do? If no one was in the world to judge you, what would you do if no one was watching? And that's oftentimes exactly what you should do. And so fear, again, is exactly that, false expectations appearing real. So many times in my life, I've gotten to situations where I'm scared to do something. And once I pull the trigger, I find that 95% of that was nonsense. It was these phantoms in my brain that caused me to play small. And once I realized that fear, it's just a false vision of the world, and you can blast right through it, whether it's public speaking or building a business or starting a family or having kids. I thought those were going to be scary moments, and they were interesting, but they were nowhere near as prohibitive as I thought they would be. And so stop living your life for other people. That's the biggest lesson here, because most of the times they don't care anyways, and they move on with their own lives. And if you try to live for the approval of others, you're going to be very unhappy and very depressed. And I did that for a long time in my life. I no longer do that. I love coming in here and creating media and making the movies and changing the lives of my students. And if you all are watching, well, God bless. But if you're not, I'm going to keep doing it. And so that's the way I look at my life, and that's what I would say to all of you. So look, I'd love to go for a couple questions here and seeing what's going on. Prash says, hey, Brian, what inspired you to create Speak to Inspire? Well, that's really interesting. You know, I've got 100 people right now from around the world on my Speak to Inspire course, and it's a 6-week program inside London Real Academy. If you go to londonreal.tv, you can learn more about it. And I teach you how to communicate with persuasion, how to get people to do things that you want them to do and take action. And that could be on a TED stage, like I have been on. My TED Talk has been watched over 320,000 times. That could be in a boardroom. That could be with clients. That could be in a social situation, like a party or a wedding speech, or that could even be one-on-one, like you see here in London Real. But if you can't communicate your ideas, you'll go nowhere in life. I think it's the biggest game changer, more important than money, education, connections. When I asked Dan Pena, when I was at his castle, what's the single most important quality in a high-performance person, he didn't even miss a beat. He said, communication. I said, what about money? What about the billions? He said, nope. I said, what about connections and network? He said, nope. Communication. That's how you lead a team. That's how you articulate an idea. That's how you inspire others. And so that's why I chose to teach this course called Speak to Inspire. We're taking about 100 people through. Some of them want to do TED Talks. We're going to put them there. Some people want to give a speech at someone's wedding. Someone is going to be on the stage and be doing a presentation at a conference. Someone wants to get more clients. One person wants to get a raise. One person wants to just be better in social situations. So that's why we created that program. And we have various accelerator programs inside the academy that teach you how to broadcast, teach you how to do business. And I'll talk more about business hopefully at the end of this. And so if you've got any questions, go ahead and put them on Facebook. We're also live on YouTube. If you want to put a comment in there, that would be great. Steve Podmore, what's up, Steve? How are you, buddy? You said, what's your vision, Brian, for the next 7 and 14 years? This is a great question. I get asked this all the time. And again, thank you so much for being here. This is our new format called Real Deal, where I'll be broadcasting live here from Studio 2 here at London Real World headquarters. And if you got any ideas or suggestions, even for guests, would love to have those. We're going to have the guys from the Happy Pair on next week. And again, it's just a little bit of a different format than the typical smell the leather conversation, which I love having. Our latest one is Jordan Peterson. Check that out on the site. You can see the full interview and the bonus content, Success Secrets as well. But you know, I don't have a plan for the next 7 or 14 years. I have a 100-year plan. Now that might sound a little crazy. You're like, Brian, what are you talking about, 100 years? You're going to be dead in 100 years. Now, in 100 years, I will be 147 years old. It'll be the year 2118. And who knows if I might live to that long. I doubt I will. I'm not one of these people that thinks I can. And I don't want to be uploaded to the cloud like other people do. But I like the fact of a 100-year plan. And I got this idea when I was visiting Barcelona, one of my most favorite cities in the world. And I went to a church called La Sagrada Familia, which was designed and built by Gaudí, which is one of the most incredible architects in Barcelona. You see his architecture everywhere. Talk about a guy that was pushing the envelope, and talk about the guy that was on the cutting edge of art. And I'd like to think we're doing similar things here at London Real, although Gaudí was on the next level. But he was doing things that at the time people said look stupid, were crazy, you shouldn't do that, be more traditional. And so I love his ideas. But what I love more is that he started building this church knowing it will never be finished when he was alive. And while he was alive, he built one wall of this church. He didn't even build the other walls, let alone the roof, let alone all the other stuff. And it's still being built today if you go there. And it's absolutely incredible. It's also groundbreaking when it comes from design and style. But he always said, my benefactor is not in a rush. And his benefactor was God. And so I love this concept because when you have a 100-year plan, you take your ego out of the equation. Now, what does that mean? A lot of people do things in this world for legacy. I'm not a big fan of that. There's some people like Gary Vee, and I really love Gary Vee, but he does it for legacy. I don't like that. I think that's an egotistical thing to say that. I don't want to do this so one day you can say how great Brian Rose was that did London Real. I want to do this because it's the right thing to do. We're putting out great messages to the collective conscience of humanity, and we're bringing everybody forward. And I know deep down inside it's the right thing to do. And all of the greatest guests on London Real tell me the same thing. Dorian Yates, Ido Portal, even Dan Pena in his own twisted way says this as well. And he says basically that we are all one and we have to pay it forward to the future generations. And that's why I'm doing this. And so when I think of London Real as a 100-year plan, I don't think about me being lauded as great one day. I think about what can this continue to be when I'm dead? How can we continue to build it? And when we think of it that way, I also don't make short-term decisions about revenues, about getting more views, about doing stupid clickbait stuff. I mean, I've just made this movie Iron Mind with the team here. You know, is that going to be watched by 1 million people in the next 30 days? Probably not. But over the course of the next 50 years, it'll change the lives of 10 or 20 million people. I'm confident of that. And that's why I did it. I didn't do it because it's going to make us money in the next quarter, which is the way a lot of businesses behave. So that is why I have a 100-year plan. And again, I want to build this entire movement as a way to enlighten, empower, and transform people. And I really want to emphasize the transform part. London Real is not a motivational channel. I'm not here to inspire you. I'm here to transform you. I'm here to get you to take action and to be a better person, to inspire the people around you, to put out great messages to the world, to go into the fear, to go into the risk, to confront your past the way I did, make peace with it, confront your demons, and come out the other side stronger and better. If we all did that in this world, you wouldn't even recognize this place. Humanity would literally grow 10x. And so that's what I'm all about. That's what London Real is all about. I'm not interested in legacy. I'm not interested in $1 billion. I'm not interested in buying a sports team. I'm interested in building something that has meaning, and something I'm really proud of, and something that affects the culture in a meaningful way. Our content has been watched by over 100 million people in 7 years. That's incredible. I mean, that's really incredible. Like 1 in 70 people has watched one of our shows. That's crazy. And I want it to continue and continue and continue. And I think if we can hit, say, 1% of the world, which would be about 1 billion views, 1 billion people, I think we can materially affect the way that humanity acts towards one another, because every message on London Real is this: check your ego at the door, listen to someone else's opinion, walk a mile in their shoes, consider their viewpoints, and let's have a discussion about the future. That's the essence of London Real. It's the art of listening. And if we can do that, I think we can compromise and find new solutions, and we can stop fighting, we can stop disrespecting the environment, we can stop making things all about ourselves and our Instagram feeds and our bling and blah, blah, blah. I'm not about that. And that's what London Real is all about. So that's a little bit of science as far as what we're all about. You know, I want to really talk about some of our core values, and that's really what's going on here. And I think it's really important to think about that stuff, to really get away from that Instagram feed and just try to really think about giving back. And so that's really what this is all about. So that, I hope, helps with that 100-year plan question. And again, I'm answering questions here live on Facebook. Would love to talk to some of you. We got Jamie Castelblanco in the house, my man. He's a graduate of our Speak to Inspire course. Jamie, I always tell your story because it's absolutely amazing. You know, he was in the course. It was like week 3 or week 4. And unfortunately, his grandmother passed away. And he was very close to her because she raised him when he was a child. And he contacted me, and I think he was in my team at the time. I think he was on my premium group. And he said, Brian, my grandmother passed. I have to stop taking this course. And I have to handle her arrangements and be with family. And I said, I'm sorry for your loss. I know she meant a lot to you, and I know you need to grieve. But you don't need to stop this course. You need to finish this course. Because what would your grandmother say? Would she be happy to watch you punk out over this? Or would she want you to get on that stage and inspire thousands or tens of thousands of people with your message that's going to change the world? She would want you to not quit, to get uncomfortable and deal with this emotion and finish this course. And he came back to me 24 hours later and he said, Brian, you were right. You're totally right. I'm going to finish this course. And he came to London Real World headquarters and he stood out there in front of 50 people and he delivered one of the most incredible speeches ever. And it was such a powerful moment. So Jamie, it's great to have you out there. And I'm a big fan of taking situations that seem, you know, insurmountable and finding a way to push through. That's what builds character. That's what all of your heroes do. If you look at Muhammad Ali or Conor McGregor or JFK or Martin Luther King, what do these people do? They push through adversity. That's why we look at them as the greatest. And that's what we're looking to do in here with our students and everyone around us with this message at London Real. So I want to take a few more questions and then answer a few more things. I want to talk about how to find a mentor, and I want to talk about how to build a business, and I want to get to Q&A, and then we're going to wrap up this episode of Real Deal. If you're enjoying this, just tell me some comments here or share it with a friend. Would love to get you feedback, and of course, I love doing this new format. It's lots of fun. So we've got Pierre Hesfet in the house, Natasha Westover. Hey, Natasha, she just graduated, our Business Accelerator. Great to have you here. Interesting, Natasha's talking about money, and I really want to talk about that. So Natasha, let's get into that, actually. So Natasha's a recent graduate of our Business Accelerator. She was actually here on Saturday, and I did a live stream interview with her in the studio, which is part of our premium program. We're releasing that on YouTube today, Natasha, so look out for that. And you can use that as a business asset as well. It's probably going to get you a lot of clients. But inside the Business Accelerator, we talk about your relationship with money. And if anyone out there wants to build a business, I think this is the first question you need to ask yourself. What is your relationship with money? Most of us have a dysfunctional relationship with money. Why? Because we watched 2 people teach us about money that probably had no training in money. And this was probably mom and dad. Maybe it was grandma or your aunt or your uncle, but most likely they had a very dysfunctional relationship with money. Maybe dad liked to save money and mom spent all the money. Maybe they looked at money as dirty. Maybe they looked at people with money as flamboyant and arrogant. And, you know, Natasha shared with me this weekend about how she has a relationship with money. She's in finance. She's now building her personal brand, and she made amazing, amazing strides in the Business Accelerator. But I remember her telling me that her mom and her dad had a different relationship with money, more conservative, more we don't talk about money. And that's more of a British or a continental attitude, which means that it's kind of something that subconsciously holds you back from being a billionaire or being proud of what you've built. Whereas maybe the American way, we get a little more obsessed with money, but we're okay trying to be a billionaire and trying to be an Elon Musk and trying to be some of these people that we see in the news, like a Bezos. So you need to get your relationship sorted with money. And this is what I have to say about money in a short way. I go into this much deeper in the Business Accelerator, and you can learn more about all these programs at londonreal.tv. But money is a funny thing because when I left banking, I ran away from money. I thought it was something dirty, something bad that had corrupted me. And I had to get my head around a new relationship with money. And once I got into London Real about 3 or 4 months in, I really understood that money was actually a tool and a form of energy. And that's something that's really important for you to understand. Money is just something to be used in order to help you spread your message. And I see a lot of people that come in that want to start a business and they want to give out content for free and they want to help people. But I always say, if you don't charge them money and get those revenues, you'll never be able to help more people. So when you charge someone money, 2 things happen. First of all, you ask them to put some skin in the game, to invest in themselves. And I guarantee if you charge someone $27 or $297 or $3,000, which is what we do on our programs, people will invest incrementally more in themselves. They'll push through more fear, they'll push through more resistance, and they'll get more done. So first of all, when you ask people for money, they actually do more for themselves. Second of all, you can take that money and get more people to hear your message, to invest in your ideas and change more people's lives. So think of money as a form of energy. There's nothing dirty about it, and you're delivering 10x the amount of value for the money that they pay. And once you get your head around that concept, you can really start thinking about that money flowing. So for all the money that I charge to be part of our tribe, which is our community group, to be on the Business Accelerator or the Broadcast Yourself course or Speak to Inspire or the Life Accelerator, which we do at the end of the year, all of that money I take and I invest it back into better cameras, better movies, better hires here at the team to make more quality content that goes out there and changes more lives, period. So I just use it as a form of energy and I'm constantly letting it flow. To be honest, I spend everything we make here because I'm on a 100-year plan. How can I get there the fastest? I need to invest everything back in the business. And that's how you've seen me go from one guy with a bunch of webcams alone in basically it was my apartment or my flat, as you say here in London, to being in this world headquarters with 20-some people working for us around the world, you know, with 3,000 graduates of our academy, 100 million people watching our videos because I've invested everything back in because I'm not trying to also hoard money. You know, you need to have this theory of abundance with money. Money flows. And if you're putting out great energy and great ideas, money will constantly come to you and you need to spend it in ways where you're constantly pushing energy back out into the world. So I can go into that more later on a future Real Deal, but as a short answer, I think that helps. And Natasha, I hope that helps you. My relationship with money was really important. When I first opened the Academy 3.5 years ago, I was very hesitant to charge money. And I remember I had all this internal resistance, and I talk about this on some of my master classes. And I was charging $99 for a community product with extra content, webinars from me, behind the scenes footage never seen on some of the guests. And I remember I was just so nervous, and we set it live. And I remember we had 100 people sign up in like the first 100 hours, and we made $10,000. And I looked at that, and I was like, oh my gosh, this just changed everything. And if I had never done that and succumbed to the fear, it would still be me alone in an apartment. I probably would have quit by now because I would have been so frustrated because the business wasn't going anywhere. I was going broke. But making that one decision to go into the fear, to go after my relationship with money, to confront it and say, why am I in fear of money? Why do I have this bad relationship? You know what? That's wrong. Money is not a bad thing in itself. Money's not bad. Money is just numbers. It's what you do with it and the energy that can be bad or good. And so I always spend it in a way that is good, that just puts more ideas, changes more people's lives. That's a really important point. So change your relationship with money, you will change the game. And again, I had Grant Cardone in here, definitely one of my favorite guests. And he said, Brian, the way you spend money is the way you make money. I really like that quote. And so it's true, if you hoard your money all the time and spend a little bit here and always are bargaining and fighting over, that's not the way to make money. If you're constantly letting money flow in your life and giving it, investing it in the right places, it will flow back to you. So that is my current relationship with money. I'm sure it will continue to change, and I'll be teaching more about that as well. So I want to answer a couple questions here. I want to talk briefly about mentorship, and then I want to wrap this thing up. Again, this is Real Deal, live with me. I got some great comments coming. We got a really big live audience here, so it's great seeing all of you. Looks like Mariana's in the house. Baby, what are you doing? Post a picture of the boys, would you? So my lovely wife is tuning in from home. So great to see you, darling. She was, of course, a huge hit on the movie Iron Mind. She was at the premiere, and everyone said she was the star of the movie, which is true. And again, later we'll talk about work-life balance, and if it wasn't for Mariana, I couldn't do any of this stuff. She raises a 1- and 2-year-old boy, which are a serious handful. These boys, I'm telling you, they're up all night, they're up all day, they're sick, they're not sick, they have teething problems, and they're literally bouncing off the walls. She does that. She cooked 100% plant-based diet for me on this Ironman triathlon. She still cooks plant-based for me because I'm still plant-based. She works tirelessly. She's constantly supported me on London Real. She never, ever wavered in her support when London Real was literally going nowhere. No one was watching it. It wasn't a business. It was just looked like me like a crazy obsessed person, and she always supported me. So again, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Surround yourself with positive, supportive people that don't question you, that don't belittle you, that constantly support you to chase your dreams, and you're going to be in the right place. And that's what we do inside here in London Real and in the Academy as well. We surround ourselves with like-minded people that not only want you to be the best, they expect you to be the best, and that's the real game changer. So there you go. Julia liked my viewpoint on money. Thank you so much. I'm constantly thinking about this, and again, I've had really weird relationships with money. When I was 7 years old, I used to dream of being rich. I kid you not, it's true. And I'd wake up and be like, oh, I'm not rich. And I used to constantly be obsessed with making money and margins, and I went to Wall Street, but I've had to redefine it on this show. But now I don't worry about money anymore. To be honest, I don't. I used to worry about it and save it and calculate how many years I had to die and if I could live on it. That's this scarcity mentality. And if you concentrate your energy on anything in scarcity, you're gonna waste your life. Now I don't worry about it. I know the rest of my life I'm always gonna have money flowing toward me because I'm doing the right things. I'm putting the right energy out there. I'm trying to help people and get messages out there. I'm teaching, I'm transforming. I'm not ever worried about money. I'm constantly gonna be able to do something, a partnership, a broadcast. It'll always be there. So let's focus on something that really matters, which is changing lives and doing something I love and that I'm passionate about. Really important. Okay, let me talk about mentors really quick here. I get asked all the time, Brian, how do I find a mentor? I look at you and you have some of the most incredible mentors in the world, and I do. I've got to be in the top 1% or 1/10 or 1/100th of 1% when it comes to mentors. Dan Pena, the $50 billion man, came to my movie on Friday, even though it was probably more on the snowflake spectrum of the movies he would like to watch, because it was about getting in touch with personal demons and feelings. I talked about my heroin addiction and overdose in 2001. Yeah? Put that in your pipe and smoke it, Mr. $50 billion man. He had to watch that in the audience, right? I was crying on film. John Joseph was talking about sexual abuse and crack addiction. I mean, it was getting real, folks, and raw. We're asking about the purpose of life, religion, spirituality, about demons, about goals, about addictions, about being addicted to Ironman races. And there's a lot of real talk in this movie. And the $50 billion man sat through the whole thing. Apparently, Mariana told me that she looked over, and every time I was suffering on screen and sweating and like breaking down and struggling and crying, he was laughing. So that's really good. And his wife, Sally, was next to me, and she was laughing at all of John Joseph's jokes. And I got injected one time with a needle, and Sally was laughing. So I'm glad that they were entertained. But, you know, Dan showed up and supported me. And that's a big deal, you know, and to have a mentor like Dan is a big part of my life. And I have mentors like him and Ido Portal and Dorian Yates, and so many of the London Real guests are now mentors to me, and they mentor me in some way. And so if you're looking for a mentor, very important that you first give something to a mentor. Second of all, never use the M word. That's what I always say. So again, if you're ever starting a mentor relationship, always give something first. Always bring them something, always create an episode with them or a piece of media or a podcast. That's what I always do. I always see how I can help them first. Can I introduce them? Can I give them some advice on their business? Always start with you giving them something. I can't tell you how many emails I get every week that say, Brian, I want to buy you a coffee. Brian, let me pick your brain. Brian, London Real would be great for me, blah, blah, blah. Brian, can you put me as a guest on London Real? It's all me, 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 me. Everyone's asking me for things. I don't have time for that. Every 5 minutes that I don't spend producing great content for all of you is a waste. So again, if you come to a situation with a mentor, lead with reward. What's in it for them? They are in the power position. Do something for them, all right? Don't ever ask to buy someone a coffee, right? It just screams of energy vampire, right? If ever I see an email that says they want to buy me a coffee, I don't even reply. I just put it I just delete it. And so remember that when you're approaching people. These people are busy, they've got other lives. Second thing is, don't mention the M word, right? No one wants to hear you say, will you be my mentor? It makes you all freaked out. You're like, oh my gosh, this is gonna take me weeks. I rarely use the M word. I happen to use it with Dan because, you know, he talks about mentoring and things like that. So I actually call him that, but I never use that in the first 3 years of our relationship. And I'm glad I didn't. So that's very important. And a few other tips on mentorship I got from Dan. One is, have something in common that's not about what you want to be mentored on. So if you have a business mentor or a tennis mentor or an entrepreneurship mentor, have something else in common. And Dan had three famous mentors in his life. One was Costas Gratsis, and they both enjoyed fine food and wine together. One of his mentors, they played tennis together. One of his mentors, they played golf together. If you want me to be your mentor, and by the way, I'm not accepting any menteeships right now. If you want to be a student in the academy, that's as close as you can get. But maybe you want to talk to me about the UFC, about mixed martial arts, about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, about filmmaking, things I love. That's how we have a relationship outside of that. And the final thing you remember with a mentor is when you meet for lunch or dinner once a quarter, you pick up the tab. You pick up the tab. Even though your mentor is much richer than you are in most cases, you pick up the tab. It's an amazing gesture. And Dan said even when he was broke and the guy knew he could barely afford to pick up the tab, he did it anyways. And it was a gesture showing the mentor that you value their time. And so I go to dinner with Dan sometimes at the goddamn Ritz, and it's like $2,000 for the meal. And I know that Dan doesn't need the money, and I pick up the goddamn tab, even though, I could do other things with that money, like buy a new camera, but I pick up the tab because it's a sign of respect to Dan, and that's what I do. So that's some gold right there, folks, when it comes to mentorship and finding a mentor. Again, find someone, lead with reward. Show them the spark and fire within you. When I see someone that's excited and passionate and wants to go crush the world, it reminds me of me and I want to help them. And so be that person and you'll attract great mentors. All right? Okay, folks, look, I want to wrap this thing up. I think I pretty much talked about everything. Go into your fears. You got to pull the trigger in life. We're only here for so much time. I almost died in 2001 based on an overdose. I might not be here. Every day I wake up is a gift. Why not pull the goddamn trigger, right? There's a graveyard near London Real Studios. It's called Bun Hill Graveyard. It's where they bury all these people that weren't Catholic. It's like a Protestant or whatever graveyard. And I look at the graves and I look at the people and I'm thinking, how many of you wish you would have pulled the trigger, Do they regret pulling the trigger now? No, they don't. They're dead. And I always think, when you're on your deathbed, you'll regret the things you didn't do. You'll regret the risks you didn't take. You'll regret the investments in yourself you didn't make that could change the course of your life. So stop playing safe, because in the cosmos of time, you're not a fart in the wind, as Dan Pena would say, right? You're just nothing. You're dust. So while you're here on this earth, go big. Take risks. Do big things. Stop being conservative. Stop doing what other people want you to do. Stop worrying about what other people think, because it's inconsequential, because you'll be dead soon. So make it happen right now. So there you go, folks. Look, I just want to say thank you to everybody here on Facebook. We're hitting some great things. Kathy Whitaker saying yes. Boom. Let me see. Stephen Taylor says, it's important to leave where you are living if you're getting negative results. I completely agree. I left New York City because I knew my peer group there and my own behavior in that city was destructive. It was killing me. And I was like, I got to get the hell out of Dodge. Sometimes you got to leave to start fresh. So do it. Sometimes you got to delete all of your friends' numbers on your phone, change the number, start over. It's really important. So let me see. Hakan said, boom, I'm doing something besides cashing in. Let me see. I'm talking about some issues with banking, which is great. We got Francis in the house. We got Jaime. Let me just see here. I'm going with my scroll here. Can I start a couple of your program? So Sirat's talking about doing the program in Afghanistan. I've graduated people in our academy from 68 different countries. I did a live call on Tuesday. And by the way, we teach all in live calls. There's nothing pre-recorded. There's nothing, it's accountability is what we teach inside our courses. And I have people in like 68 countries around the world. I had people in 15 different time zones on that call. And we have basically the only online accountability course in existence. So I get you to do the work. If you don't do the work, I call you out on a live call and I shame you in front of people. Procrastination, it doesn't work in my course. Perfection doesn't exist because I get you to pull the trigger repeatedly. My Speak to Inspire students, in 42 days, I get them out of their comfort zone 42 days in a row. If you can do that with the right mentor, the right blueprint, and the right peer group, you will literally get to 10x levels. Watch these people when you see their speeches at the end of graduation. We do the same with business as well. And so I'll end on a business note. For turning London Real into a business, I had to do really two things. I had to look at my passion and find out where my passion intersected with my talent and where that intersected in the market. And I had to listen to my customers. So the people that were watching London Real, they would come up to me and say, Brian, I want you to teach me how to start my own podcast like you did. I want you to teach me how you started a business like you did. I want you to teach me how you did a TED Talk like you did. That's the things that I ended up teaching and charging money for. I'm a big fan of creating digital products that you can sell to this gentleman here in Afghanistan and change lives of people around the world. We're in the internet era. If you can't digitize the intellectual property in your head, then you have a problem because you're selling your time for money. Do you know who sells their time for money? People at McDonald's, people that are lawyers, people that are doctors. It means you can only make so much money. If you can digitize your IP and sell it as a product, you can make money while you sleep, and you can literally make hundreds of millions of dollars. And that's what we teach inside our academy. I have taught nurses, movers, coffee people, doctors, surfers. I've taught every single profession under the sun. I've taught a 14-year-old girl to make money in 8 weeks on her passion. I taught an 84-year-old guy, American guy in Brazil, to do the same. They each went after their own individual peer groups, and they made money at the end because I pushed them into everything. I taught them how to use social media. I taught them how to do videos. I taught them how to create a landing page. I taught them how to create their own webinar. I taught them how to sell product and how to do partnerships online. So that's what we do, but you gotta pull the trigger and you gotta have the right people around you. And so that's what it's all about, folks. So look, I better wrap this up, otherwise I can talk forever, as you can see. But it's all happening. We've got some amazing guests coming up soon. Of course, I'm really excited about the Jordan Peterson episode we just dropped. We got Timothy Sheaf coming out, Coach Summers of Gymnastic Bodies, absolutely incredible. Ava Schloss is coming out this weekend. She is an Auschwitz Holocaust survivor. I mean, talk about an amazing discussion. It's absolutely incredible. It might even be live on the site right now if you go find the trailer. She's incredible. And that's what I want to do. I want to keep delivering the top quality content to you. I want to enlighten you with ideas. I want to empower you to go ahead and change your life. And when you're ready to finally transform and be someone new and stop giving yourself excuses and stop listening to your friends and family who like it when you play small and stop being mediocre in this world, when you're ready to really transform, come see me inside London Real Academy. Go to londonreal.tv and look at some of the programs we have. We teach some incredible things in there. We will teach you how to start your own business. We will teach you how to publicly speak. We will teach you how to start your own podcast and how to enact high performance habits on our Life Accelerator. That's what we do when we transform people. You should see what we're doing in there. It's absolutely incredible. Super proud of what's happening in the Academy. There's a lot of free teachings and free learnings that you can go in there right now. Just go into free courses and you can start watching our videos. Right now, we're teaching people everything you need to know about starting a business from your passion. I'm teaching you how to use social media, how to create digital products, how to do vlogs, all of that stuff you can learn right now. We have a free Facebook group for workshops. I'll be doing all that. I got master classes coming up next week where I look forward to teaching you free live right here from the world headquarters. And finally, I just want to thank all of you for the last 7 years. I can't imagine not going on this journey. I can't imagine the person I would be, where I would be, if I would even still be alive, if I was still going into the banking world and making more and more money and being more and more depressed. This has been the most incredible journey for me because it's transformed me. And being held accountable every week by you is why I transform. That's why I'm such a big fan of holding people accountable and not taking people's excuses and their BS. I was never able to give you an excuse. I could never say to you, I'm sorry, there's no episode this week because my dog ate my homework, my wife is pregnant, I don't have any money, I'm super busy, I got sick. Those were all excuses and I wouldn't allow them to be used for you and for London Real. So I made it happen, and by making it happen, I found a way to grow, and I got this incredible group of people that followed me on the journey. A lot of the people here at the World Headquarters, they worked for free for London Real for 6 months or a year because we didn't have any money and they believed in what we were doing. They believed in this movement, and they're still with me today, and I cherish their input. And folks, we're gonna take this to the next level. I can't wait for you to see Iron Mind. It'll actually blow you away. I can't wait for you to see the new things coming inside London Real Academy, the new movies, the new movement, the book I'm gonna publish, everything. We are going big. We're going 10x at this point. And if you wanna come along for the journey, come join us on the inside. We would love it if you did. Come see us in London, and let's just go do big things. I don't know how long we're gonna be around for, so let's make it happen today. No excuses. And I look forward to seeing you in the future. And thank you so much for your time. I'll see you next week. For the guys from the Happy Pair, we'll see you here at Wednesday at noon. And until then, go out there and pull the trigger.
London Real doesn't stop when the conversation ends. You see, that's when we get started. Because everything begins with a thought, and then comes the action. The London Real Academy is our global transformation platform. Here we bring together thousands of students from over 75 countries. Whether you want to build a profitable business from your passion, or learn to speak to inspire, or broadcast yourself with your very own podcast, or accelerate your life to become a high-performance person, we have the online accountability course and personal mentoring program that will make your dream a reality. Join us, and we'll take your life to the next level, together. Our next accelerator course is starting soon.